although it's not our time, is coming ever so quickly. We can see that by simple events happening in the world. It's not like they're new things. It's just that we have awakened to a degree where they seem, well, the things that we would normally accept as okay, we're not doing that anymore. We're scrutinizing a whole lot more than what we used to. We have backed away from many iniquitous things. Old things have burned out that we used to do, and we're moving into new territory, new ground, and vast changes must take place in the earth, in people, even in animals. Changes all the time, and it doesn't feel that way, right? It doesn't feel that way all the time, but it is. It is. I was reading some of the emails. I'm still struggling to get through all these emails, and I was going through. They were in groups in other places, and because they were sick, and anybody who gets COVID-19 is going to be immune from COVID-19. Their body's going to have the ability to fight off that disease so strong to go in places where the average person can't. Ultimately, all of us are going to have COVID-19. All of us. Unless you have a natural immunity to COVID-19. Some people may have that. Some people carry a rare antibody, and that rare antibody makes them immune to just about everything. I happen to be one of those who has a very rare antibody. It's found in, what would they say, maybe one in 20 million people or something like that. So it's not too many people with that antibody. There's a good side to it, and there's a bad side. The bad side is, for everybody else, may not work for you. But it does make one immune to quite a few things. Other people who are not immune to COVID-19, they will eventually contract that COVID-19 and become immune to it. That's what they get, right? They'll become immune. Some people even have intervention upon their lives, and their purpose in life calls for them not to get sick, which is why it's so incredibly important that people find out where they belong in their calling. That is incredibly important, right? And speaking about people finding things out, kudos who found the published writings in COT. I saw that certain people began to read some of those writings. Now I've slowed down some of the read streams in there. Some of the titles have blank because I have a lot more content to upload. So I kind of tested some of the content the other day, and I tell you, within an hour, people began to read in some of those sections. So I'm going to put all the neat stuff in those sections. I'm going to be publishing every of them. This isn't right. My hope is that you are growing up. I have not been through everything, but I've been through quite a few things, and I would just love to extend to you certain experiences that the Lord has made me privy. I've overcome in the Lord, and His process of coming back is to expose everything in us that is unpleasing to Him. How many of you are starting to notice within yourselves, all this is an effort to get us cleaned up because the Lord is coming back. He's coming back. Oh, by the way, we did experience some more fireballs, and I expect at least 16 to make their debut passage by the earth very soon. 2 of them are going to have impacts, probably on land masses. Of course, most debris is attracted to a certain parallel on the earth, and indeed in one spot in Mexico. Strangest thing. Most are attracted to that area. And speaking of Mexico, that's where all the shaking is going on, where all the weird stuff is going on from the heavens and the earth, right? So expect that. Now I'm going to give you guys I'm going to give you guys something right here, because we have to keep things decent and in order. Correct? That's how the Father works, decent and in order. And as part of being there, I'm going to tell you guys something. Listen to me. I have said a whole lot on COT, and I know certain people, please do me a favor. I personally don't wish to be edified or lifted up in that, right? I don't want to be the one that is known for speaking this or known for speaking that, although it happens. In other words, don't try your best to not look at me. Try your best to simply understand that I'm a tool for the Lord, okay? And because I can reach you, the Lord will speak things through me. Try to understand that. It has nothing to do with me being special or anything else. That's not the case. I try to be obedient, yes. Special, no. And likewise, try not to assume anything. Don't do that, right? Where you don't want to arm Satan, and you also don't want to become one of those who would be seen as a groupie, right? Guys like me don't like groupies. A groupie is somebody who's just, if you say that the moon fell off yesterday, they'll say, yep, it sure did, because he said it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Because what that does is it breaks down the entire purpose of the Lord granting me what he grants me, right? And the reason why he would send me dreams and visions and give me statements and allow me to have seen things that maybe you didn't see, and then to speak it at this time during life, is because he knew he would have me have the microphone and that certain individuals would begin to listen, right? And it's going to become very important after this time is passed. After my time is passed here, after this time is passed, that's when the COT stuff will become important, right? Because people will dig up things from COT and hopefully they'll be encouraged by it. Now, if you want to be one of those who is included in, because these are testaments to what the Lord is doing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but people are changing. So if we here can leave a record for somebody else that is clear and unobstructed, right? That they can understand that the Lord is real, then we can reach even someone that will be in those days. You know what the Lord said? The Lord said, I will bring a third part through the, will refine them as silver is refined, and I will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say it as my people, and they shall say the Lord is my God, which means the Lord has this process that out of the whole lot, he always takes a portion of the people and he refines them, making those people his people out of all people. He does this with every single language, nation, tongue, you name it, right? And he drags them through these horrific and horrible times in their personal lives. You guys have gone through that so that you will call upon his name, not my name, right? Not my name. It's kind of like when I tell, there's certain, I remember when I worked with a couple of elderly folks, and they would get in trouble, and they just, two of them happened to have my phone number. Well, something would happen, they would call me. I had the hardest time telling them, you can't call me. You've got to call 911. You can't waste your time calling people. You've got to call 911. Well, in this case, folks, right? Sometimes you get quite joyful, overwhelmed, right? You're shocked. You get, a lot of people can't believe sometimes some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth, and then it comes to pass too. So, but don't thank me, thank the Lord for that. Because without the Lord, I wouldn't be in position anyway. It is the Lord that takes us out of the bunch we were in. He refines us and then utilizes us. It is all up to the Lord, right? So remember to direct all of your praises and thanks to the Lord, not to men. Don't be a groupie. Don't be a groupie. I don't need groupies. I'll begin to act with him in flesh again, sat on the outskirts of everybody else. And that was so I need to be clear of mind, clear of purpose, or the well's going to dry up. What will it look like? What is it eventually going to look like in our lives? Time for something very sober, right? Sobering. But if someone knew that the end times was truly coming, right? If you knew a hurricane was coming, and you saw on the Weather Channel it was coming for your path, kind of like this hurricane that's coming up the road now, and if you saw it was coming into your path, would you prepare for that hurricane? Anybody? Would you truly prepare for a hurricane that's coming in your direction? I know that I would. I would. I know that a lot of people would, right? And why would we prepare? Because the Lord gave us an ability to prepare. There's even a reason he allows us to have the knowledge that a hurricane is coming. Nothing the Lord does is wasted. And our last topic we read about, 1 Samuel chapter 2, where the Lord is responsible for everything. The good and the evil, he's permitting all things that are to be. And because he is, nothing is by chance. And we know that everything is for real. That everything is done for the sake of the children. All things are being done for the sake of our deliverance. And we know that part is true, so then we know something else. Satan is doing what he can do to resist the word of the Lord in you. Now, if you don't know this, because a lot of people don't, there's a reason why Satan can never overcome you if you do not desire Satan to overcome you, right? In other words, if Satan knew a tactic, and he's been around for a long time, why doesn't he use better tactics to overcome you? Why? In other words, he's smart. He's much smarter than we are. Why has he not overcome us yet? Why must we become like children, right? Which, by the way, are not too bright, but and then Satan really can't overcome us. Why? What's at work here? Does anybody know what that looks like? Why is it that these dark entities, right, they don't overtake you? Why? Why? Does anybody know? Because I'll tell you something. If you don't know the answer to this, you're almost as bad off as those who really do believe that there are accidents in the world, that things can happen on accident. You'll be one of the offended ones, one of the ones that blame the living God for the death of something. And to be frank with you, people have forgotten the seriousness of the times they're in, and that what they're doing for keeps. Sometimes we forget. So I'll say it again. How many of you know, first of all, Satan cannot do you out, right? Why has he not taken you out? You know in your heart, though you may have been a servant, enough that you don't like him. So why hasn't he taken you out? Why has he no power to take you out? Why? Even to those he has taken out. Have you seen the process upon their lives? He didn't overwhelm them where they could not handle it. It seems like he always overtakes a person in what they know. Anybody ever notice that? He doesn't overtake what you not know about. Easy break. We're going to go over some of these principles because, listen, you don't need to be fooled anymore. You don't need to be deceived anymore, nor have this thought of mine as though Satan can somehow overpower you against the principles that are set in motion by our Lord. That time is done. Is it cutting in and out, guys? For everybody, is it cutting in and out, or is that just Sue? Sue, you may want to swamp a channel or something like that, but if it's cutting in and out, you guys let me know. I could be moving around a lot. I'm pacing back and forward, trying to hold myself together because I'm quite energetic right now, right? You guys can tell by my breathing that something, well, actually, for how long? Let's see, 1.5 years to 2 years. Have you noticed? Something odd, something different. But we overcome, don't we? And if you haven't noticed anything about my breathing, that's a good thing, right? That means I am fooling you guys. It sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. It's awesome. Okay, I'm going to be back after this break. Principles. All right? Some of these principles. This era of offense. We still have to remember that we're in this time where people are highly offended over the small things. But in some of those offenses, right, the people who eventually cause those offenses, more into those people. Lord knows I certainly wouldn't want you to become one of those individuals. Hey, good to see the men here. I'm gonna have to get us all hooked up on one cap. There's 542 of the men that on the outside that's not online that we gather with, and then we'll hook that up with the people online. We need to go ahead and make it too long to get situated, multiple fronts, and so it takes a bit more effort for me now to do some of the smaller tasks because of just the position I'm in, which I can't share that with you guys anyway. But it takes a lot to get that done. And yesterday, oh my, that was one of those days. Yesterday was one of those days. So it takes a lot of effort to get this done. Some of the tools and things that I'm creating they're really good, but I'm trying to make them so robust that COT will be turnkey operation, not like some. We're not talking about a corporation here, but turnkey meaning I really need COT to be one of those places where anybody can come in, sit down, and take over and have no problem. Because unbeknownst to you, it will be handed over. It will be. Once I get everything done, somebody else will eventually be running COT. But I have a lot of things to share, and there's a specific season that I'll go through. After that season, I'll be gone after that season. But you might be also. But I'll speak about that later in time. That is to say that I'm very comfortable in knowing a specific season in which I will leave. Very comfortable knowing that. But that season is one of those unavoidable seasons. We have to get through some rough times. There's some rough times this world is going to have. But I'm going to be right here in COT during those rough times, attempting to get you through these rough times with a voice of sobriety, soberness, not given over to some of the fables, because these are also the times when the Lord says men will be given over to fables again. So all the fables they used to practice or believe in back then have all come back again. They really have, and we'll discuss that too, so you guys don't fall prey to that, right? Perfect. It can sound like you are spiritually strong, but I'm telling you right now, I know some folks who speak one way, but they are incredibly spiritually weak. They are vulnerable, and they can barely make it from day to day spiritually because they're dying. Is what's happening. Their soul is dying. This while they stand, right, for things of the gospel. They're dying on the inside because they have taken a path that the Lord said, do not ever take nor sanction anyone to take that path. They took it anyway. And it is my hope that you guys never go down these roads, that those who are on it. So you're not going to tell somebody on that path. Because they did not love the truth. They loved the attention. It's kind of like Facebook. Before Facebook, there were people who they weren't used to crowds. They weren't used to people listening to them or anything else. And as soon as somebody would agree with them on some level, they lost their minds on Facebook. And they began to talk about everything, chat about everything, printing everything. You guys remember that. And some people still do that to this day. The problem is they think their cause is legitimate. And indeed, to them it may be. But to those they do affect, it is damaging. It's a weapon. Right? People are exposing other folks. They're been, but haven't been on there since. I'm not dealing with Facebook. I can't. It promotes the wrong thing for me. I'm going down a different path. Anyway, let me take a break. When I come back, we're going to hop right into more than a few subjects. We need to see what everything looks like in truth, what we're going to be involved with here. Even as far as geology goes and everything I was concerned about, war, we need to see what everything will really look like as we enter into the days that were spoken of so long ago, that cannot be recognized. So when I come back, we'll go into conversation about this some more. Hopefully you
Okay, so he's coming back. He always comes back quickly and protect you in this time. Do not take a shot, okay? That's what I believe. But you know what? Take a vaccination if you want. I'm not the one to tell you not to.
And it goes back up real slow. That's dehydration. You gotta hydrate yourself, right? It's gonna take you about 4 days to really get hydrated. So start now. If you can depress your skin and it rises back up slowly, you are badly dehydrated.
Yeah, so if you push your skin and it rises up slowly, you're dehydrated, okay? Keep your time, okay? Because there's going to be a time where water's going to be hard to get. Okay, quit cutting my channel down. Quit saying connection's unstable when it's not. Blows my mind. He's coming back on, so everybody's jumping off. Anyways, he was just talking about if your skin doesn't bounce back up quickly, you're dehydrated. So this is a good test right here. Pull it, and look how quickly it goes back. It goes back like instant. It takes a while to go back into the position it was when you're dehydrated. So yeah, try to keep yourself hydrated because, like I say, they're fighting over water already in China, okay, in Pakistan, and they're getting mad at Russia. His music drives me crazy, man. I don't like it. Anyways, I'm cooking supper and doing this, and yeah, not many people are watching right now, but whatever, man. I'm many guys are listening. Hey, man, and I don't know if this vaccine is good for you, but I don't know, right? So I'm not taking it. No way, I'm taking it. Wow, I'm just checking out what's going on YouTube here. This is the busy hour. Okay, I didn't ask. Of widespread power outage, New York and along East Coast happening now. Oh. Okay, sleep apnea linked to Alzheimer's disease. Wow, lots of stuff going on, man. Here, let's.
The Brazilian Meteor Observation Network captured the curve from various camera locations.
Fireballs, warning. Those Those are warnings from God. Please, stable is it's not. My connection is not unstable. Okay, so lots of fireballs coming through the skies right now. God's warning. Fireballs.
The preliminary analysis show that the very bright fireball began to shine at about 89.5 kilometers over the rural area to the east of Casillas del Sur, and it traveled northwest.
So, like I talked,
The bright
twinkling of
meteor
an eye.
disintegrated during
These are
6
angels,
seconds,
fallen
easily
angels.
overcoming the full moon's brightness, and it finally exploded at an altitude of 22 kilometers over the city of Vacaria, also within the state of Rio Grande, brighter than the full moon. In Brazil, the space rock that tore through the atmosphere turned night into day in various locales across its path. If you were watching closely, you may have noticed a separate piece of the meteor or some other unidentified object that flew off in the opposite direction from where it was traveling across the landscape before exploding in a flash of light behind the mountain. On September 30th at 6:24, observers across 15 states and portions of Canada.
Okay, so those. Ohio. Wow. Let's just check and see if my guy's back on. Says he's off air, but he actually isn't. Okay, let's watch the rest of the fireballs.
The trajectory based on the southeast towards the northwest, where its visible flight was last seen somewhere over North Benton, Ohio. This particular event has become the most widely reported fireball in the United States since July of the year 2019. I recently reported on a strange meteor that entered the atmosphere over Germany and the Netherlands. At the moment of its entry, the fireball appeared to be moving perpendicular to the horizon before disappearing into the night. This meteoroid was picked up by the Global Media Network in the early hours of September the 22nd.
Good. I put lots of celery in it. Netherlands, Europe.
According to Earth, somehow managing to escape Earth's gravity before a bright atmosphere without being pulled in by the forces of gravity. But this is exactly what this meteor did in order to escape the gravity.
Crazy. Lots of fireballs, man. Lots of fireballs, man. He's still on, so we're going to finish watching this fireball.
Earth's escape velocity. Earth grazers may be rare, but they are not entirely harmless. The massive explosion that took place over Tunguska in the year 1908 is now thought to have been caused by a space rock that became an Earth grazer, first hitting the atmosphere, followed by a shock wave, and then finally skimming back out of the atmosphere. The absence of an impact crater led scientists to portend that the space rock could very well fit the category of an Earth grazer. October the 6th at 6:11 Universal Time, spotted on camera near the Maryland-Pennsylvania border. The event was reported across 10 states and captured from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. No real indication on exactly how many are out there that have yet to be discovered. This graphic shows the orbit of no one other than 1 kilometer. These asteroids are deemed potentially dangerous because they are at least 460 feet across and they pass within 4.7 million miles of Earth's orbit. Agencies from around the world. As of this date, there has been a total of 72 asteroids classified as near-Earth objects that have approached Earth. The time of discovery of these close approaches is disturbing because the majority of them were not discovered until they had already passed by. When we learn of the dangers associated with objects from space, there will always be a genuine fear of its effect upon the Earth. And we know that 2020 has already had more than its share of bad news events. On this date, it was estimated to be between 123 million miles. The asteroid class originates from the...
So how does he know it's 10 billion light years away? How do they know it's coming at us? You can't tell.
I can recommend that you pray in the name so that it's good. By the
I
way,
said quit with it.
And, you know, because I defy the odds big time. It's because everything I do, I've learned something over time, right? If I do something for me, it is a waste for me. Much trouble where others have been poisoned, where others have been hospitalized due to salmonella and other things. I have not. I ingested the same things. The difference is I prayed over the food. I didn't pray calling up the Lord upon your life. If you do that, just like with everything else, if your house is oppressed by darkness, negative emotions, caused by entities, but if you commit that house to the usage of the Lord for the Lord's will, then no entity can touch that place again because you commit that to the Father. Now, when you commit something to the Father for his use, don't use it for sinful purposes again. Your own temple, your body is considered a temple. Jesus teaches this, right? The Father confirmed this. It's utilized for the temple, and the temple, right? Because you belong to Christ, it is a holy temple. Your body is. And if you treat it as such, meaning to come into the temple, right? You keep that temple spell, right? What belongs to the Lord directly. You can't touch it. So remember that. With each place that I've gone to in my life, I learned something very quickly to commit to hand over, if it be a house or a building or something like that, to hand it over to usage of the Lord. That Satan spiritual advisements I had for anybody was, there was just to tell an old story, there was a person in COT yelling at the individual, and just weird things were happening, and it was generally oppressive. Arguments would break out between the husband and the wife, and it was just negativity there. So commit your house and everything in it and hand it over to the Lord. And then utilize it. I mean, purpose that thing in your heart, utilize it for such. Well, this person, the environment changed, bit the owner, scratched the owner. After that, after this person openly committed that house to the Lord, it stopped and it never came back. Isn't that funny? So there was no anointing anything, no any of that stuff. There was a true statement with the intent of truth, which was to commit your dwelling place unto the Lord. So no ritual. but all intention and all doing. Right? Does that make sense to you guys? It looks eloquent to go around and to say stuff and to do stuff, right? But I tell you what, the intent that's inside of you is where the truth is. And if you dedicate or hand what belongs to the Lord, he can't do that. Satan cannot touch anything at the throne of God anymore. He has no position up there. He cannot accuse in view of the Father anymore, because the Son stands by to forgive. So he has no job there, right? House unto the purpose of the Lord, and you do so from your heart of hearts. Satan won't touch it anymore. Spirits will leave your house that moment. Half the torment will stop. All sorts of things cease. And if more and more people would do that, they would find themselves having a restored peace in the home, and they would grow spiritually again, right? They would not have the adversary. This individual, right? And the Lord impressed that upon me to share things like that. What really works is the truth of a person and the truthful dedication of a person, committing themselves to the word of the Lord and those, right? Some of the folks who will be condemned in the Holy Land, they do everything by rituals, by ritualistic means. Government is Phoenician origins. Rituals are a big part of that. Even a courtroom is designed after draconian contact. We're not talking about lizards. We're talking about spirits. That was Moses' laws, because Amos is responsible for courtrooms, for the rule of law as we know it today. Other individuals, the Sumerians and Babylon, all those guys, they try to corrupt it by causing the law to be theirs. And that can be restored by way of the intent of a person, can be restored. But I'm telling you now, most of it are rituals, incantations, and rites. That's just like election night. It is a ritual. It is a ritual, the transference of, I know you think it's power, but in truth, in depth, it is the transference of souls. That's what that is. It is the blessing of the forces, is what that ritual is. The blessing of the forces, meaning the people who participate, right? They become the force of that. So they have all the worship. A lot of people teaches us that people do things that seem with things in our hearts. Why do you think so many people who, it's almost like they make the argument of Democrats and Republicans, they make that at the same, right? Mingle the two. Dr. V is in the house. God bless you, brother. I just saw that V. I thought I was seeing things, part of the AARP. You don't know what they're actually called or what they actually do. Certainly join in. The devil, you have to willingly agree with him. And once you agree with the devil, you have to, excuse me, choked up over here and everything else. What in the world is going on? A matter up to the Lord, right? But I hope that you guys pay attention to that, because I know that souls will be taken because of that. That if your house belongs to the Lord, and the Lord said, submit yourselves to earthly authority. This is what he meant by that. To submit yourselves to earthly authority, those ordinances of the world is to end up and ask you guys a question. If Satan is so outside of the Lord's protection, why didn't Satan take you out? Why? And if you guys haven't noticed, I'll be sharing quite a few of these principles, and they are written down. They're in the COT site somewhere. But why can't he do everything to you he really wants to do? Why? Ready for the answer? It's your life the way he did. But why has he not overpowered you? Why? Let me share something with you guys. In the Bible, you read a scripture that goes something like this. You're not able to go through. Does that make sense? So there is no condition in your life that you're not able to bear. You can bear honest, because you can bear everything put upon you, or it would not be put upon you. Satan cannot put his full weight on you because this rule is in place, and it goes like this. In proportion to what you really know, right? In proportion to your acceptance, whether that be an acceptance of dark and light, Satan does work in your life, and he will never go beyond those bounds. The more you know, the more of Satan you're going to have to contend with on multiple levels. The more faith you have, the greater the trying that will be in your life. But he will never go beyond it. Not ever. So now one of us, we don't have the handle. Did not have a form. Just in case you didn't know, they didn't have a form. Real form. What he would look like, you could say, would be the sum total of all the cherubim that was under him. In this case, like the dragon. The dragon is that old serpent called the devil and Satan. But the dragon has
Sorry,
no form.
D.
He has no form. The dragon is largely like a kingship over many different entities. That's what he is. And anybody who's read the book of Enoch, well, you know the actual name of Satan, who was in the garden, who deceived Eve. That same serpent is the one we deal with today. But that serpent has a name you may not be familiar with, but he has other names under him, which is why he's referred to as the devil and Satan. Why those two words? The devil and Dossie is called the devil or Satan. And the Bible tells us the devil has come down to you, talking about those inhabitants of the earth. The devil has come down to you. So in this case, he comes as the devil. Remember? And then Satan mopes around. Well, I have nobody worthy to resist me. Everybody's so easy on me. What the Father says, Satan, what is wrong? Why would the Father say that? Let me tell you guys something. You read scriptures like that, you begin to learn something about your reality. You begin to learn something opposite, right? I'm telling you now that you're dealing with satanic forces in your life. Those satanic forces you agree with on a day with those satanic forces, but it takes Christ to complete that process in you. That the cycle of birth and death is very important in the spiritual realm. It is key. So if you know that story about the Nephilim in Genesis 6, and you really intently look at it, had given birth to true evil, which then had formed that directly deceived and polluted humanity. Correct at COT. I'm not sure how people will perceive that, but nevertheless, I'm going to print that anyway. It gives you the origin story. Up has been exciting years, right? Now, 6,000 years ago, Satan was already aware of prophecy.
Quit
He was a covering cherub,
telling
so
me
he knew
that.
about prophecy. He knew about these days. He knew certain people would be born to the world. He knew about David. He knew about Solomon. He knew about the apostles. He certainly knew about Jesus, right? He did, because he came and manifested himself. Jesus was led out into the wilderness by the Holy Spirit to be tempted of the devil, right? So Satan knows. In this day and age, he knew you were coming. So if you go back 6,000 years, he set up things 6,000 years ago so it could be dug up today, so that people would believe what they're digging up and follow it. That's what's meant by, there's a scripture in the Bible, it says, when the devil speaks a lie, he speaks of his own. That means the lies he will tell, he planted those lies years ago. Satan will plant a lie. For example, the Sumerian kingdom. The Sumerian text that people think are real and other texts that people think are real Imagine how sneaky this is. Satan back in time deceived an entire people, right? And he had a vested interest in those people. He has something in those people. Anybody who willingly works with Satan, there's something in them that is part of Satan, like a genetic seed. That's part of Satan. So 6,000 years ago, he influenced mankind to build a system. He could have deceived them by way of beings and everything else. That society crumbles. That society is just done away with. All of a sudden, he knew we'd be digging that stuff up during this day and age. So people dig it up. They see it's ancient. They see it's close to the Word of God. And so what do? They accept it as truth. Why? On the basis that it's close to the Bible. But now they're armed, believing in something that blasphemes the Bible. That's how he works. So when he speaks of a lie, he speaks of his own.
Just wait. I gotta check this out.
He planted all of that. I gotta check this out. He planted all of that.
Okay. Making sure I'm online.
Have to tear up 2 pyramids to undo it. And they really do believe it's been running all this time. It certainly is running now. It's perfectly clean and everything else. So that'll blow your mind. He did this stuff. He knew what was coming. You know, the Mayans had a promise. They were promised to rule on earth for 1,000 years. He promised all those ancient generations a 1,000-year reign that never ever came. He promised them. Somebody says a frequency generator? No. What exists in Mexico right now, and is part of the reason for communications being the way they are, right? Except America. Why? Why not America? If they release what was truly found among that UFO stuff,
What?
people dig that stuff up today. They actually believe in it. They do. They get, and I've noticed something else in there that
Okay,
are
quit
designed to lead you away from.
Quit
Yeshua.
doing
That's
that
the
to my
entire
channel.
point.
I'm watching.
And with all the text being read, the one thing the Sumerians, there is no Messiah. Can you believe that? That's when you know he tries to fight the idea that the Messiah, right? He likes to change the origins of humanity. And he's doing to do all things. Have you noticed that? This is this new age gospel stuff
Okay,
going
man.
around.
It's not unstable.
Something that we'll have to contend with. And hopefully will be used as examples of the true gospel of Jesus Christ, the original one, before all the changes. Because a certain generation has come in and changed just about everything to be adaptive to whatever man wants. Very bad tasting around. Because there are a lot of people who have adopted ways that Jesus had stayed away from.
Okay, quit
Stay away
of
from.
watching this
But
channel.
they're doing it anyway. You have people that give themselves time to get things. That was that. Satan cannot do what. How many of you never knew that? So that he can. The individual must always be over to overcome Satan, right? Now, if we give in to Satan, well, then he's going to have that victory, right? But to give in this, and there's a rule, and this is how he exists. His nature is different than what most people think. Satan, based on what you know, based on what you actually know, based on what you can actually take. See, if that weren't the case, people would have heart attacks already. This time will end, of course, and that's when people will have heart attacks. That's when they're able to present to you things after it's coming upon the earth. Those are the people who will begin to have heart attacks. But you may not. If that is the case, what they will find and what they will be looking for will be horrific, and it
Okay,
will scare
quit
you to pieces.
saying my connection's
Right? Even the look
unstable.
of it
Quit
is
that.
forbidden to see, because if you saw the look of it, you would die right now.
You saw the look of what's
The Lord
going
has been
to. You
so
would
good
die.
because you have not seen it. Now do you know why Jesus said he's given us power to tread upon scorpions and serpents and over all the power of the enemy?
Wow.
Now do you see why your walk can be temple the way that Jesus said it could be. You know, and yes, there are two veils. There's the veil of the priests. There's the other veil, which protects us from the realm of death.
Cutting my
It's so
people out of my
easy
channel.
to
The love of
remember,
Jesus
right? Have that victory.
command you out.
You do, unless you give in.
Leave this alone.
Frustrated when you get angry, you chose to do it. I deeply discourage that here. And sometimes I take folks, I'll tell you, I'll see that about Satan. He can't position. Now, listen, I didn't mean to get in the way of the debate tonight with you. Residential is wrong unto
Okay,
unto the
quit
living
disconnecting me.
God. It's wrong. Right? It's wrong. So sometimes often men do a lot of things that they
Okay, quit
and we gather
doing
with
that
a
to my
group of
connection.
about 500, and we'll be praying for each and single person on that list. We will be. Oh boy. All right, folks. You know that tactic of Satan, that he just can't simply overcome you, but he must approach you based upon what you really know. Okay. All right. He must approach you that way. He cannot overwhelm you. He can't do that. Can't do that. All right, folks. Now listen. There's some. You guys know that some of the lessons that we have well, maybe you don't know, but you'll see by the calendar. In the calendar section that's going to be posted to our site, there's going to be a series of studies in there, right? You guys are welcome to sign up for the studies. The code. We're tackling the entire Old Testament